Hello everyone. So this is a short tutorial showing new students some basic features of Visual Studio Code. So when you open up Visual Studio Code, you're going to notice probably for you there might be some kind of welcome message tab. On the left side you're going to see a few icons on this bar. The first icon, which is this 2 pages, is the Explorer section. So it opens up the side navigation for your files and folders that are in your current folder that you have opened up in VS Code. So like I have opened up my Bubbles project folder, and in here I have some projects involving bubbles. So that's cool. So the second icon here is a magnifying glass. This is the search bar. So if I want to search for like the ellipse function in my code, I searched for ellipse in this folder I'm in, which is the bubble project folder. I have hit some different lines of code. So in this bubblegun.js file on line 77, I have the ellipse function here. And then if I go to the bubbles practice.js, there's the ellipse function here. So if I want to look for something else like this, it finds all of the examples where I wrote this. And obviously I wrote that in a lot of places. So I wrote the word this in many places in this file, so I can see it's highlighted in all those places. Now, if I want to change the word to something else, I can type inside the replace bar. And so if I say replace that, then it's going to delete all the thises and replace it with the word that. Obviously, I don't want to do that because, I don't want to do that because it's going to break all my code. But this is a fast way if you need to if you changed the function name of something and you need to quickly find all of the places where you called that function and change the name to be the new function name, then you can do that easily with the search and replace functionality. Also, this is really helpful for finding the lines of code in your HTML, CSS, or JavaScript that you need. If you're like, oh, where did I put that uh, input tag on my file, or where is my bubble variable? Oh, so you can search for it and figure out, oh, okay, this is the bubble array dot move randomly place where I want to go right in this code. So super duper useful. The search functionality. Don't forget that this is here, right? You can open this with Control F or Control Shift F, right? Control F opens up the find section. Control Shift F opens and closes the search section. So good to know. All right. The third section on this left bar here is called the source control. Now, this is actually a way to do like a source and version control like on Git, but we teach you how to use Git through the terminal. But there's actually a way to do it just in VS Code. Some people like that. I personally don't, but that is here. So, if you set that up right, you can make commits from this section. The fourth icon, which is a little bug and a triangle, this is the run and debug section. So in your JavaScript, you can actually set what we call breakpoints by clicking in the margins, and it sets little red dots. Now these little red dots will show up in the debugging section as breakpoints, and what that means is it will like stop when it comes to this line and stop or break your code And this is for like debugging and helping you with managing your control flow and your debugging in your code. You can also just use like console logs and other ways of debugging as well. But I suggest if you want to use the debugger in VS Code, go watch some tutorial videos about how to effectively use the debugger in VS Code. So the fifth icon is the extensions section. So it's this 4 squares, right? And extensions are basically little pieces of software that make VS Code do more things. And some of these extensions are quite large and some of them are small. Basically, what these things can do is they can make your life easier in some way with some kind of like spell checking or autocomplete or some kind of additional feature support, etc., or some way to like automatically generate things or regenerate or autocomplete code that you're typing. So you can see I have a number of extensions installed. I have the Anaconda extension pack, Colorize. This is a VS Code extension to help visualize CSS colors. I have like some Jupyter notebook stuff, which some people really hate this, but it's fine. I have Live Server installed for like local, development servers, Live Share, so you can collaborate in real time with other people and you can share your project. It's kind of slow, but it works. I have some Python extensions. I have the Svelte for VS Code extension, which this will help you with auto completion in your Svelte projects and save you time, and also help you generate like Svelte projects. And then I have YAML. Um, so this is like comprehensive YAML language support to Visual Studio Code. I have never used this, but you might end up using it if you end up working on a project where this is relevant. So when you install extensions, like you can disable them or uninstall them. Sometimes you have to restart VS Code, exit out and restart. And then you can also go to like the settings of these various extensions. You can search for extensions. They often have like recommended extensions. Like this one's a Git project manager for easily switching between like Git projects. There's also Git Lens, where it shows you who wrote what. I think it shows you like who pushed what Git commits to your project. So this is a cool extension too. There's GitHub Copilot. So that is the AI program from GitHub, and I believe there's a paid version of this where this can help you with like autocomplete suggestions, like smart autocomplete suggestions for your code base. So yeah, you can check it out. There's a lot of different extensions. You're more than welcome to kind of Google search some of the best extensions out there. One thing that you probably need to keep in mind is if you installed rainbow brackets, you should uninstall it or disable it because rainbow brackets has been added to VS Code as an like a built-in functionality. You can also install extensions which are for like code formatting. So like you can see how in my code my functions are yellow, my classes are green, my constructor and properties are blue, my my properties I defined are light blue, my data values like my numbers are green, my comments are darker green. So you can actually customize what color your syntax is filtered to be. So like if you don't like this template of colors, then you can change it, and there's ways of doing that. So all right, and then the last one here, you won't have this unless you installed the live share extension. So I have the live share extension installed, so I have this other icon down here where I can collaboratively edit and debug with others in real time through my VS Code window. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So another feature that you probably really want to know about is split panes, or split. What do they call it? Split editor tabs. So in VS Code, you can open files, and when you open these files, obviously they create tabs, right? Well, there's different ways you can display these tabs. So you can drag and drop the tabs to be in different sections on your screen, and you can split quite a few times, I think. You can also right click and like split the current window you're in, and you can do this quite a bit until it starts to get a little crazy. So maybe don't do this too much, right? Like, because it gets messy and it gets kind of crazy and ridiculous. But like obviously, if you want to look at your HTML and you want to look at your JavaScript side by side, boom, really easy. You have two files open. You can make this one larger and this one smaller. Usually what I like to do is I like to have my HTML on my right side, and then I like to have like my CSS. So like if we make a CSS file, I like to have my CSS below the HTML, and then I like to have my JavaScript on the left side. And then sometimes if you want to look at two different places in the same file, you can split. So this is the same file, and I can be looking at two different places in the code at one time, and set this up for myself so that I don't need to scroll a lot through my code up and down. I can just be here, and then I can look here, and I know this is the same file, and I'm looking at the bubble gun class and the draw function, and I just have a nicer workflow now. So uh, setting up your workflow is very important. So make sure that your screen is big enough, like use a bigger screen so that you can see your code. Make sure your code, if you want to zoom in on your editor, it gets kind of squished after a while. You can zoom out as well. So if you have a really big screen, you can zoom out more and you can have more on your screen. If you have, you know, if you need to zoom in more so the words are bigger, you can zoom in more. And there's also a whole bunch of settings, obviously, up here in the toolbar, so you can read through them. But in View, you can look at things like word wrap, sticky scroll, extensions, source control, whatever, appearance, editor layout. It's like editor layout, and it's like 3 columns. Okay, what's that like? Sweet. So it just opens up 3 columns for us to open up files in. If we go to like appearance, let's say we want to hide some things. You might have like a mini map on all of your code. You can actually hide this if you don't want to look at it. You can go to editor, you can go to appearance, and then where it has the mini map checked, you can click it again and it'll hide the mini map. It's a little bit annoying that this is like you have to keep going to view to change this. It's like breadcrumbs, render white space, render control characters. I forget what breadcrumbs are. What are breadcrumbs? View, appearance, breadcrumbs. Oh, are these breadcrumbs? More actions? Hold on. No, that's not it. I'm not really seeing what's changing. Oh. Oh, these are breadcrumbs. Okay. So breadcrumbs is like your um like the depth of your files in the current directory you're in. So like I'm in the bubbles projects directory, and then if I had like node modules and I wanted to like open up node module stuff, we open it up, we see that this p5.js file is inside node modules, inside p5, inside library, and here. So those are breadcrumbs. So you can turn those off if you want. So definitely just like figure out what screen settings work for you. This is actually the p5.js minified library, so it's kind of hard to read. But anyway, so like the other thing, appearance, you can go to Zen mode. Zen mode removes the borders of your VS Code so that you could just focus on your code. To prevent distractions. Some people like this. You escape this by pressing escape. So Zen mode gets rid of your sidebars and your top bars. Also, for opening the terminal, right? You can set like which terminal opens by default. So you can see when I make a new terminal, it's making a new bash terminal. And then you can actually split the terminal as well. So you can have multiple terminals and you can have them split side by side. So here we have two different terminals, one on each side. These are two different bash terminals. So this is like select default profile. This is I'm not sure what this. I think this is like set which program is your terminal by default. So I'm selecting git bash so that when I do a new terminal, it's just going to open another session of bash, right? So these are all different sessions of bash running on my computer. So I definitely want to close them all so that I don't have like stuff eating up my RAM, you know, the terminal programs eating up my RAM. So one last thing I can think of is just pay attention to line numbers, right? Like in your code, often when you have errors in your code, it will list the line it's on and the character where it happened, right? So just be mindful of that. All right, well, I hope that was helpful. That's kind of like a basic overview of some of the most important features of VS Code. Definitely go practice and play around with VS Code and get comfortable with it for yourself. And make sure that your workflows are set up nicely and so that you can have a good experience while you're working on all of your assignments and your projects. All right, have a good one.